Welcome back, everyone, to another Top Corner Talk podcast. And yes, we are live again. And I have my good friend Oscar and Charlie back from San Diego. So, how are you guys feeling today or from this past weekend?
Go ahead, Oscar.
I'm still tired. I didn't travel, but like I said last week, I participated with the supporters in the Mardi Gras parade, and it was a lot of fun to be honest. But I'm still recovering from the walk, from just like the environment, screaming, moving, passing beats, and all that. So, and then obviously watching the game at 9:30, going to bed at midnight. So it was a very long day that I'm still recovering from. But
Oh,
we're
the
here. Happy to
sacrifices.
talk.
Yeah.
Charlie. So, before we jump into the whole fun stats of things, how was your weekend, the game,
Yeah.
preparations?
Yeah. Birthday was on Saturday. Just turned 16. Happy about that. Um. Yeah. Birthday gift was a 0-0 draw. Second one of the season so far for City. In the first game against Colorado, we saw domination. I feel like you should have won that game, and I think it's the complete opposite against San Diego. You feel like you should have lost that game almost. 0.09 shots on goal, or expected shots on goal is not going to cut it in Major League Soccer. I mean, that is a atrocious stat line. It felt like they were trying not to lose rather than trying to win last Saturday. But yeah, other than that, I had a great weekend. Still tired from busy weekend filled with a lot of fun activities for the birthday, but I'm excited to be able to drive myself to City Park now.
So looks like Oscar, we have it right now. He drives. I mean,
It's actually I can't. No, I can. Never mind.
oh,
The intermediate license in Missouri, you can't drive anyone. You can't drive more than one person that's under 19 in the car. But I thought it was the other way around. You couldn't drive anyone over 19 and not under 19. So theoretically, yeah, but I'm not sure my parents would accept that.
oh, it's good. Now we're three drivers, so we're feeling all good about it. All right, so yeah, so pretty much the same old same, right? So leading to the San Diego game. So it was their home opener, their first game ever at Snapdragon. So I would have kind of expected maybe a little bit of fire on the field, but we got a little bit more on on the stands itself. But so we saw that Lozano also came off of injured, which kind of helped City maybe control the game just a little bit more. But we ended up with a 0-0 draw and yet have to score a goal this season.
You have to let one up there.
There's a lot of questions, to be honest. Not just even the scoring or not scoring, and just receiving goal and not receiving goal.
Yeah.
Is which is really the team? They want to play at home and dominated the game, or is this one that got dominated and couldn't put 5 to 10 passes together to create something up front? So it's very interesting, and it's just hard to analyze what happened in San Diego and then say, okay, should we be concerned? Should we have to make any changes? Like, do we need new players? Like something like it's just very, very weird because we saw a completely different team, especially with the ball, comparing to what it was the home opener.
Yeah.
But there's before obviously we touched all those topics and in the field. I think like one of the big things that they happen obviously in the stadium is something the small curiosities with uh, San Diego. I thought and I was expecting a lot more of big environment, something like a bigger party. What we saw on TV wasn't that great. I mean, in retrospective, let's look at our home opener for the first time. It was huge. It was amazing. That we had a great tifos. We had constant around the stadium for the entire stadium. Um, And this one was kind of like underwhelming. Like, uh, there's little details that some people have said that the supporters had issues with the tifo and they didn't had enough communication or whatever it was that they couldn't come up with, and they had to put one together like really in the rush. And let's clarify, making tifos is not easy.
Oh no.
It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of preparation, it takes a lot of money. So obviously, not making fun of their supporters is more like, man, what happened?
Yeah,
Like, this was your biggest moment. Like, you guys should be preparing for this
At
quite a
least
long
2 years.
time
yeah,
already,
Yeah.
and your club should be helping you with this. It's not just supporters putting it together. It's your club should be supporting and helping you in that end. So it
yeah.
was a little shocking seeing that tifo, and not seeing anything else other than that global that Manny Machado left, and it was like, okay, it's cool, but at the same time, like, it's all right. I mean,
So
nothing
I
else.
guess you were hoping a little bit more of a bigger splash as of this is pretty much your first game, your first team, your I guess your introduction to the world
Yeah,
and MLS. So I think it's maybe one of those where I guess Snapdragon was also I guess their you know even though it's their home stadium, but it's still a
shared.
how we call it, yeah, matchup. So I can definitely see from you, especially that you're on that, supporter section. So you kind of, I guess you were hoping to see a little bit more from that side. Maybe it's just the first time Jeters, whatever we call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
think about the way that St. Louis has been in cahoots with their supporter groups has been amazing. I mean, Oscar, you've seen this firsthand, but I mean, I've come into the stadiums a bunch of times and seen Santos and Florida Noise and Luligans setting up the drums and the megaphones before the games. I mean, we're talking 2 hours, 3 hours before even the block party starts. And I mean, you're seeing almost a relationship between the supporters groups and the team because it's benefits both of them. Supporters groups get to support and they get to get their platform out there and their beliefs and within the game, and then the team actually gets to create a better environment. I mean, we see one of the things I posted leading up to the season was I'm excited to hear the STL chants again because I mean that is something that I mean you see in soccer, you don't see in a lot of other sports because of designated supporter groups. And if you look at the way the supporter groups have started in San Diego, it's not good. I mean, you have a threatened abandonment of the match because you're saying things that can be construed a certain way. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. I mean, you're talking about your major supporter group in San Diego and their chants being criticized by the team itself and saying, I mean, City SC has never put up something and saying, stop saying this or we will abandon the game. We've never said a chant like Sporting Kansas City has saying F St. Louis. All right, it's all things that can be family friendly. It's all things that can be just the fun of the game and let the players on the field play to the best of their ability and let them figure the bad blood out. Because as spectators, there's nothing what we can do but hope. We cannot change the outcome of the game unless unless 22,000 if you are doing it at the same time, which sometimes happens at City Park with the home field advantage. But I mean, you got to let the players play, and I think San Diego started off on a bad foot at home with the relationship between the supporters group and the owners and stuff like that because it's already fractured.
Yeah, I think for me it was just the biggest disappointment was not almost not the chant specifically is that you know it's your 30th team, you're celebrating the 30th year, but yet we're not even talking as much about what happened on the field.
Yeah,
It literally right after the game, you have your head coach. That's his second game. He's supposed to kind of go over what happened during the game, and he has to go and make a speech about
yeah,
it does not represent them. I mean, that's like probably the worst introduction of a team you can have because it's not even your PR team that's doing it; it's your head coach
yeah,
and in the league. So I'm disappointed on that part. And the last thing I just want to say about that one is I know there've been a lot of discussions about culture or how people certain other places in the world kind of maneuver the sport. And I think it's welcome to world football. We're in a sport that is not just dominated by one country, right? So
Yeah.
everybody kind of comes with a certain way, but I think for me, it's just learn the environment that you're in. Like if you go to a league, like when you go to a Champions League, right? You're going to another country, right? So when your supporters have to kind of learn the environment to where, there's certain thing that may go be accepted one place, but may not be to the other. So it's more like the lesson learned of the world. St. Louis been doing it for a lot longer than City has been alive. So I think they've had that lesson learned to kind of know how to go around it. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, for that topic, and obviously don't want to get in deep in the controversies and what who says what and what we think or nothing, but you mentioned one thing is being cultural, but at the same time, like, hey, you're welcome to a league. You're new in the league and whatever. There's rules. You gotta follow the rules. That's it.
Yep.
It's simple as that. You like it or not, there's rules and you're gonna follow. We follow as supporters. We follow so many rules that in my opinion, some of them they're excessive, some of them they're stupid, but we still follow them. Why? Because we respect the league and what they want to enforce us, because we don't want to get in trouble.
Yep.
If you see in LA, they do bend the rules a lot, like the
Against the
smoke and
flares
the
and stuff. Yeah.
fireworks in the stadium, like all those things that they supposed not to be happening. And I'm not against it. I love those shows. I love how Pasha LAFC, for example, puts shows into the stands. But in some point, crossing a line that should not be crossing, and San Diego fans did it. And I'm not saying it was the supporters. It seemed like it was kind of like around the stadium more than the supporter. Because if you hear the entire match, the supporters were just chanting
Yep.
all the time. Like I didn't hear like a stop on a goal kick to do this and then continue. So I think it was more of the around spectators that is a little more shocking in that end. So
Yeah. So
it's unfortunate. It's something that it becomes with the culture, especially with the Mexican culture, but um, they don't see it that is as bad. And me as a Spanish speaker, I know that what the reasons are that they don't see it that bad. But like I said, there's a rule that says don't say it, then don't say it.
Yeah.
yes, for
I mean,
anyone that's
personally,
traveled, pretty much, I think pretty much anything that's traveled, and if you've been to like a World Cup game, for example, they literally your confederation will reach out to those travelers, will reach out to the supporters. It was like, hey, this is where you're going. This is those rules you know that you have to follow, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just be a little bit more creative. I tell people, but
Yeah, I
but I
mean,
hate to talk about be
I mean,
creative.
Orlando does a similar thing, and I haven't even figured out what they say.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Orlando, they do yell something, but I don't know what they say.
yes,
But definitely, they're not saying it because they're not getting in trouble.
yes. So
Um,
yeah,
it just it's being there and being creative. Now, what it shocks me the most is why MLS waited until the 83rd minute to make the first announcement. Because I did hear the yell, the screaming, and the first goal kick of Berkey,
wow,
and that early in the game. So
Yeah.
it took them 83 minutes to actually give a warning. I know why, and we all know why, but if we're following the rules, should it be done since the first time they heard it?
yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want
I
that one
mean,
at the 45 minute.
yeah, I mean, just personally here,
Yeah.
going from a personal perspective, if I'm gonna go to a soccer game and if I'm gonna chant something, I think it's reasonable to say, if this can be construed in a certain way that could be detrimental to someone's well-being, then I think you should stay away from it in general. I think when you look at these things, of course, you're gonna have these these normalities from different places that you go over to Liga MX and this may be normal, right? But I mean, just like in the World Cup in 2022, I believe, right? I mean, Saudi Arabia or Qatar. It was in Qatar. I mean, there's a huge change because there's no alcohol sales in Qatar. So, most people that would be drinking, 3 to 6 beers in a match are now dry. And if you can adjust to those kind of changes, I think it's fair to say that. I think it's a bad look for the team. It's a bad look for the fan base. I think being able to speak out against it as the coach is a good thing. But I mean, it's just something like I think soccer is a game, especially in St. Louis, where so much of the youth culture is involved with soccer. That when you have something like that, you have Kansas City, chanting "F St. Louis," or you have San Diego chanting what they did. I think that kind of it tarnishes the reputation of soccer almost a little bit. Not to the point where people are going to stop watching, but maybe just a little bit of unsavory taste left in the mouth of some parents out there who may be contemplating whether to let their kids watch another MLS game just because of these things. And I think that's not a great thing to have. Of course, the MLS will deal with that as they do. But yeah, I mean, I think only time will tell with that kind of stuff. That's just me,
Yes.
my personal take on it.
Oh, and it's good. And I think that's pretty much just in conclusion. Enjoy what's on the field.
Yeah.
If you would not want your mother to hear what you say, just don't say it for others to hear it. That's pretty much how we're gonna call it from there. Because many of us, if you say that word in front of your mom, that might not end so well.
No.
Yeah. So and then so as we bring it a little bit more to the grass or the turf, like we always tell people, if you starting to go a little crazy, just touch grass and things will go better. So back to the game itself.
They're talking about the grass now, right?
Yes.
The very bad pitch that they had over there.
Wow. Do we need to go on there, or should we?
No, we don't.
So I guess we'll just bring it up to here. So Charlie, would you like to go over the stats or the minimum stats that we have?
I mean, Oscar, you talked about a question for this team. What is their identity? I mean, 2 nil-nil draws to start the season, completely different play styles and results within them, because you go away from that first match feeling like you're on top of the world and like you could beat any team almost. And then the second match, you feel like phew, we got out of that one. We got a point. Let's go to the next one in LA next Sunday at 5:00. I mean, one thing I think the only thing I think we know right now is that the defense for St. Louis City SC, the back line of the first 2 games, and especially one player, Henry Kessler, we talked about him last week on the podcast. All right, I'm going to talk about him again this week because Henry Kessler, again, continues to make an impact. Taylor Twellman talked about it on the broadcast. I remember seeing it a bunch on X and Blue Sky. I mean, people are starting to realize that this trade for Tim Parker, a beloved player with St. Louis City, may pay off in the long run because Henry Kessler has more time left on this immediate contract than Tim Parker had on his originally. I mean, and Kessler is performing out of his mind right now. Let's talk about some of the stats for Kessler. A 6.9 FOP mob rating, which I think is a little low. Here's a fact. Henry Kessler had the least touches of any outfield player to play 90 minutes. So we're talking about him making an impact without touching the ball directly, which is a big thing for a center back. Okay? We have 24 out of 24, 100% passing this game, which is something you don't see from a center back very often. 40 touches, like I said, 2 accurate long balls, and that's 100% accuracy in those. 1 pass in the final third, 4 blocks, 11 clearances, 15 defensive 15 defensive actions. And the duels were there too. I mean, Henry Kessler, 26 years old, and he has just been playing out of his mind so far this season. Really been the staple of this inner back line. If you're talking about the 2 center backs, the other one being Hebert that game, who I think it felt like they were looking for a counterattack, City SC were, and they just never got it. They never got a big counter like they feel like they wanted to, because they knew San Diego, they just had to weather the storm for 15 minutes and then they'd be on the attack. But that storm went on for a full 90. So props to San Diego, but I mean, props to Kessler, props to Hebert, props to Giannis Horn, props to Berkey. I mean, 2 clean sheets to start the season. And you're looking at one shot on target out of 15 total shots for San Diego. We're talking about ones that missed the net, ones that were blocked, and ones that were headed out of the way from corner shots. I mean, that is super impressive. If you're this City defense and you're going home, I would feel very proud of myself if I was part of that unit and I just put on the performance that Henry Kessler, Kyle Hebert, and Giannis Horn just did. So that's one thing I want to highlight today.
And which makes it a full circle, right? We were last year, the year before, we're like, oh, our defense is a little sketchy, and we're good in the midfield and the striker side. And 2 games to the 2025, we're actually celebrating our back line and those that were even those on the bench. So I think that kind of brings into the discussion on our core midfield, right? Like you were saying, Oscar, there was passes were not the greatest. We're missing the sequence did not look as fluid as we've seen in previous games. So can you give us a little bit of your take on that midfield movement?
Yeah. So one thing that I have observed a lot in the game was that we were not holding the ball when we needed. When you have so much pressure from the other team and you release the pressure to your front players, you want those front players to hold the ball, create fouls, slow the game, or just hold the ball and let your midfield move up and start getting in good positions. So that was the first thing. Like, we never held the ball. I think the first ball that we were successfully holding the ball from our striker was a foul to Klaus and near the 70, 80th minute that he created finally a foul. He held the ball, got pushed on the back, easy call. But the rest, Simon Becher was not successful in holding the ball. He was not successful in running on the space and winning the ball. Same as Toyshirt did not participate. And that was one of the big issues is also we were skipping the lines. Like, there was always a ball from Heaver, Horn, Totland, even like Wallum, that he was not very participant in the first half. And they were going straight to Toyshirt or Betcher instead of trying to find Hertel, Lewin, Watts. It was just missing that connection there. My older thing that it really annoyed me, it was how many flicks we had this game. Those little tricks and like, oh, that little back heel with the outside or every single one that we did, we lost it. And many of those were when we were going out of the pressure, trying to get out of the pressure and just releasing that ball in a very cheap way and getting it back to them. So that was another thing that it was driving me insane in the game. Like, I was screaming at the TV, like, stop doing that. Like, it's just not, you don't need to get so fancy about it because it's not working, and 2, it's not needed. So that's the 2 of the most annoying parts of City game, in my opinion, the City style play in San Diego. The bad passes and the bad connections involved with the bad decisions or the slow decision making in the midfield too. Like, there was a clip today on Blue Sky. I can't remember who put it on, but it was showing that when the actual spaces were open to attack and like Hartel was in a good position, the decision making of the defenders or the midfield to make that pass forward was not there. It was always looking back. And it was always to be scared of losing the ball and getting in the counter attack and getting space behind it. So I think it was that we couldn't create anything because we were so scared of getting San Diego behind us.
So pretty much when you kick the ball back, then it allows the other team to reset, pretty much in counter control. So do you think, so just seeing the midfield, and that we know that we kind of lost Vasilev, who was like the guy that was kind of running all over the midfield and trying to create those connections. Do you think maybe that's the part where Tuchel maybe was a little too high up because it looks like that connection with him and Betcher, I think it was almost similar players. So I think they were almost kind of lost from what
Yeah.
I've gathered from the two, because usually we're used to saying, Betcher this, Betcher that, Betcher this, Betcher
Uh-huh.
that, but this game was more like Betcher and then maybe 5 or 6
Bet you're
sequence before
running.
coming back.
It was just like bet you're running into space trying to gain something. Like we're not saying they all sacrificed in defense. They did very well as a unit. And that's what probably Olaf wanted.
Right.
So we can't really figure out what's really Olaf style of play yet. And one thing that we know for sure is being a center back, as a former center back, he wants his team to be organized and not give space behind. And that's happening. So hats off. It's amazing defending, but can we actually attack? Can we actually build something? And yes, for what you say, Toicher, I think he should play in a 2 line with Hartel and not a 2 on the front. I think if you're gonna put Toicher, make him play with Hartel. Like just make him get together, get him close to Lewin. Those three can make and connect good passes. But if you're gonna skip that line, then we're just gonna chase the ball.
So it looks like maybe it still need a little bit more of that connection and try to figure out what actually Olaf wants them to do on the field. So it looks like maybe 2 game is a little too early for them to kind of figure out themselves in the midfield.
Yeah, and also
Really?
if you think about it, is you had a good performance on the home opener. Why did you change?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, because you did create an offensive game, you were able to hold the defense long, or the opposite defenders long, and separate it from their midfield. Why did you change? Why did you decided that Toicher and Betcher were the best choice for this game? The moment, the first 15 minutes I saw the game, I said Klaus should be playing. And I told you last week that Klaus should not be playing.
True.
So it's because that situational game was we need someone that can either hold the ball up front and give us time to go up.
Yep.
And give some presence that someone has to be worried about him. Nobody's, not disrespect to Betcher, not disrespect to Toicher, but they're not physically big to be scared, the defenders to be scared of them. All the defenders were going up high and destroying Betcher and destroying Toicher. Like they were not letting that. Klaus would have done a little bit different, at least in my perspective. Now, if the performance of Klaus and the level of Klaus doesn't get to that, that's another story. But on paper would it be, and he created 1 or 2 fouls when he played. So
Certainly made some noise.
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you just said, Oscar. I mean, Klaus being the birthday boy, didn't know I shared a birthday with him. Shout out Shaw Klaus. March 1st babies, but I mean, yeah, I think the physicality was lacking. I saw someone post on X about how the lack of chance taking. Oh yeah, you talked about the transitional game being almost non-existent through the midfield, and I think that's a result of not having, a solid, I would say, defensive midfielder like Chris Durkin being in there to be able to not have a guy like Edward Leuven have to make recoveries on the defensive side of the ball and then start all the way from his own box to make a run, because he can, but it's much harder to do that than it is for a guy like Chris Durkin to make a quick pass and have Leuven start from the middle circle on a run and on a transition. I think that's fair assessment to say that, but I mean, the transitional game was not there. The offensive game was not there. You try to get too cute with it at some points with those flicks, like I agree. But I don't know. I think when you look at what they did last week against Colorado, you look at what they did last Saturday is just it's polar opposites. And if he can find the kind of the sweet spot in between those two performances, then you're going to be perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it was part of the game plan, knowing that um, Colorado was coming back from a game from with LAFC, so they were a little bit more timid and tired.
Yeah.
Versus San Diego were coming hot because they beat, I'll say, a questionable LA Galaxy, because it's not the LA Galaxy of last year.
No.
So maybe that's when they started to realize that maybe City was a little bit more fit and ready to play versus who they previously played. So I don't know if they got kind of exposed that if Lorazzo and I forget the other the scorer that got the brace, how City was able to kind of neutralize him, and then most of their game was kind of disturbed. Um, I watched the LA game. They were a lot more fluid, and their passes, they were enjoying their football compared to City. Kind of hit them like a wall that says "Welcome to MLS," more so than their previous game.
Yeah, I think Olaf was very happy with what happened. Like, to be sincere, I think he planned it to be that, to be just a full block of 9 defenders and like good defensive block, good defensive movement, not giving spaces. So I think like that's what he wanted. What I can see consistent and that it could be worrying is the slow pace to play when we have the ball. So, and that gives you how I mentioned it last week with Colorado that our build up was very slow.
Mhm.
This one happened the same way, and that's why we were inviting so much pressure. And San Diego took that for granted. Like, if he knew, San Diego knew that they could pressure and they create mistakes because our build up was very slow.
Right.
So when they were coming to us and too much pressure was coming, the only way to create something was getting rid of it.
Yep.
And try the long ball and see what happens. So the build up was a big issue in my opinion. And if one thing that I don't know, you might like it, Mo. Uh, this, and I don't like to say this, but I watch a little bit the clips of the Philadelphia against Cincinnati game, and reminds me how City used to play on 2023. That it was such a quick one touch plays, back and forth, one twos, third man moving space. Like, it was so quick. They scored 3 goals when were those passes of Philadelphia were so quick, extremely quick, and it remind me of like having even like names like Nelson, Stroud, Giacchini, like those that they will connect so quick and create spaces for. And that's one thing that I haven't seen in City for a year and a half.
Yeah, and trust me, I was watching that game, and they were saying a lot of times either Red Bull style play, and they were mentioning City a lot too because of the fact Carnell, and it definitely have shown the high pressure, and looks like the Philadelphia players were kind of adapt to it very quickly. So
Yeah.
they were, yes, they certainly made, and we have our good friend Jeremy on
Hey,
here,
Jeremy.
and of course he's coming with great questions to make us think extra hard. So he's asking, do you think all of adjustments were enough, for as much as Lutz talks about having a manager who react and make changes? Is it disappointed that his changes didn't do anything for us in terms of possession?
Yeah, I mean, I think Oscar talked on this when we were watching the game. We had a couple messages going back and forth about the difference between reactionary and cautionary coaching. Cautionary coaching is almost close to saying, well, I think they're going to do this, so I'm going to do this. Like Oscar said, your defense was so sound and you played so well against Colorado. Why change it? I think Lutz wants a coach that can be able to make subs and change on the fly, to be able to say, well, this isn't working right now, so we have to put in a guy like Durkin. We have to put in a guy like Pompeo. We have to put in a guy like Klaus. And that sometimes that needs to happen, right? And I think the reaction needs to come at halftime, the reaction needs to come anytime before the start of the game, because if you start off that game like you did against Colorado, you don't know what the outcome is. I think instead of his adjustments not working, I think the idea of making those adjustments in the first place may have been the straw that broke the camel's back in that game.
I think he, in my opinion, I think he wanted to stay with what he believed was working for the team and the game. So, like, if you think the first half, we give up just the one shot on goal from a corner, but then there was only 2 runs behind the back line. So and we created some possession because we did have some possession in the first half where we created Watt's shot and then the Totland kind of like a shot cross that if it's a little more wide, it would have created a little more danger in that one. So we were not as bad in that end. Obviously, we decided to have more possession and create more stuff, but his plan was not that. So in the second half, his subs, I don't think he trying to change anything. I think he was just refreshing legs. That's why like Durkin came in. That's why Alfredo came in, and just building that block and consistently keeping that block strong enough to not give up space in the back. And then obviously Klaus comes in because it's Klaus and Klaus has to play at some point. And I mean it didn't do bad. I mean he did okay. It would be a good performance if he actually shot with power and not like Klaus.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could have been different in that moment. So and the last one I would say for Celio, it's hard to take Hartel out. And I'm been telling you guys that there's a preference in keeping the German guys in there. That it's not going to change as easy. Hartel didn't have a great game. He didn't have a bad game. It was just a defensive performance. It was a sacrifice performance. But at the same time, everybody was saying, "Where's Celio? Where's Celio? Where's Celio?" It's like he's not going to get that many minutes because Hartel is there. The only way is because Hartel is already gassed and say, "Hey, here is 9 minutes for Celio to try to do something." But let's be real, that's not the ideal situation for Celio to come to a game when you have all San Diego pressing on your team and you're not going to have the ball. You may have space, but you just have to figure out how to get that ball.
Yeah, and 10 minutes is not enough to, especially towards the game, to get your flow back. So
yeah, I mean, just to add in there, I mean, congrats to Celio. I mean, such a gruesome injury to be back from. It's a great feat for him of his character and his drive to be able to recover from that and play this season is inspiring. And I hope to see more things from him this season because he is a great player in every facet of the game.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to watch. I think someone posted something about a city block, but I don't know. I think they're making fun of Kansas City and who they're having as their lineup. But so anything else you wanted to go over the San Diego game? I think for me, the first 2 games, my assessment is that as a former center back, looks like maybe Olaf is maybe paying a little bit extra care of our back line that was kind of bleeding goals last year. It's 2 clean sheets. I mean, that's one take to take it. I think it will be a different discussion if we were also letting goals in. So at this moment, I'm kind of satisfied, seeing the defensive side of things. I think offense, the goals will come in. It's just a question of who will be the first one to get their leak on the goal, and how would that kind of be a snowball effect for the rest. But I think the first assist, if like Tusher or Hartel gets their first assist, it probably will get their confidence up to kind of be a little bit more creative in the midfield. and it's just Becher and Klaus. The first one to score goal. I think that's where we'll see a little bit more of those. I guess their two best
Yeah,
friends scoring.
I
Mhm.
think
And
I would say that we have to pick one. Like we just gotta say we're gonna stick with Klaus and give him two, three
yeah, they just
games and have him the 90 minutes, and then doesn't work, pick the other one and give him two, three games. But I have always been in disagreement with coaches where they rotate their forwards that much, because forwards need momentum,
yep.
and that moment they need minutes. The moment that they get cut off all the time is frustrating for them. Getting out on the 70, 80 minute, even like 85 minute is frustrating for them. They like to finish games. They like to give everything to score a goal. Like let's just put the example of Suarez. I think Suarez this weekend, yesterday, they were gonna give him out to give him some rest because he already had 3 assists and so on. And he's like, no, 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 I want to stay because I want to score my goal, and he did. So it's kind of like those situations. Um, but one another thing that I want to say, I want to wrap up my talk with San Diego is that everybody's a little freaking out because San Diego dominated City. And let's go back to 2023 when City was the one surprising everybody on the
Mhm.
first 5 games because nobody knew how to play City. At this moment, nobody knows how to play San Diego. San Diego is coming out on this hype, this boost of new team. We're gonna go crazy. We're gonna go hard. They're playing great soccer, great football, but at the same time, it's because people are very reserved on like what they're gonna show to us. We don't know. We don't have video. We don't have any specifics of how they do things. The moment that the season starts growing, it might adjust. San Diego might not be as strong as it looks right now, but it really looks strong.
Hey, but they still they still couldn't accomplish what we did. So that
Exactly.
that does it pretty much. So it looks like we were able to kind of temper the new team coming in hot streak. Hey, they
Yeah.
beat the champs, so not for them not to score at home on their opener. That says a lot as well, um, for the away team, especially
Yeah.
when them coming hot. So it was just that now we'll see if San Diego can do it for the next few games. Then that will kind of also give us a way to see how we actually perform against them. Um, Maybe a
Yep.
possession you can, like we always say, Spain, right? When they were doing the tiki taka, it's like you can have all the ball you want. If you don't score, then it's useless.
And that's what basically, I mean, we forced him to only one shot on goal. Like, and it wasn't extremely hard. So it was a good shot, but Birkin, good positioning, easy save. The rest, they were not even near. Like, there was one shot that maybe was a foot away from the crossbar or the corner, the top corner.
Yeah, that
Uh,
look at
but other than that, like they were not very dangerous. Like we were blocking shots, we were deflecting everything. So it's a good feeling that you're not conceding a goal in a cheap way.
that.
This game last year, 10 out of 10, we lose this game.
All right, so just to close out the San Diego, so we know King Kessler was the MVP. So what other player kind of stood out to you out of we just the name, no stats, no
Mm.
nothing, just you know
Tell us
what
yours, Mo.
what?
Yeah, go ahead, Mo. Well, what's
Tell
yours?
us yours.
To be honest, I don't have any, unfortunately. Usually I can pick two or three players that kind of made a difference. But now this one was all defense, that get the credits. I guess Berkey was
Giannis Horn.
another one that could have read the papers,
Yeah.
except for one or
Yep.
two.
Uh-huh.
But
So I mean,
yeah,
the top three, and Charlie just mentioned the second one, Horn,
Giannis
and
Horn's fun.
then that would be my third guy will be Hebert.
I
Yeah.
Because if
will
you
give them
so
that
like
credit.
if you think about it, the way that Horn controlled Dwyer the
Yeah,
entire game was amazing, and he's a
was
really good player. I was. It's explosive. He's creative. He didn't let him do much, and then uh, Hebert here and there with his weird movements, and sometimes like they get you nervous and all that, but he accomplishes what he needs to do.
mhm.
The block against Chucky Lozano, when he got behind his back and he was able to recover, close him, and block the shot inside that goal area, was a goal saving. So
Yep.
I give him very good performance as well for him.
Yeah.
He's a hustler. He does what he needs to get done, and he doesn't need the limelight. He just gets his job done. So definitely,
Mhm.
and it looks like Jeremy has Kessler and Horn, biggest guys. So I guess all defense coming from a former center back for as a coach, that makes total sense. So now we just need a few more goals.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so I guess leading up to now, City is back home here for a little bit. Looks like I think they had today off, practice tomorrow off, and then take another practice, and then they're gone, and they're heading to LA Galaxy.
Hmm.
So how you guys feel about that one, knowing that think LA lost 2 games in a row? And they're feeling a little bit of that City headache of last year, or having some of their main players in the emergency room. So how do you guys feel about that part? Is that one where we're seeing the 2023 LA Galaxy that think we tied and beat, or it is the LA Galaxy of last year that we have not lost to either?
Lost.
So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
let's look.
I
I
think we
mean,
lost in tie, but yeah.
LA Galaxy of last year. Who were the top two players? Who are the two
Ricky
Shane
most?
Steele and Puge, and they're
and
out.
Puig.
Where are they at? Are they on the pitch?
No.
No. And then
Yeah.
the
So
third
that's
one
why I'm picking St. Louis to win.
and then the third one was Jabalic.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Gabriel
And
Peck is having to do
he's
everything he
he's
can.
in a furniture store.
Yeah, he is.
Um no, so we gotta be careful because we think that just LA because they lost 2 games, uh, and they haven't shown too much life. But let's back it up a little bit and say, okay, San Diego, they lost the game because their center back slipped in the box and give away the first goal.
Yeah.
The second goal it just comes because LA was trying to get the tie goal. So it wasn't as overwhelming as people make it sound. If you look at the stats of that game, LA performed way better than St. Louis performed against San Diego. So let's not get into LA Galaxy, we should beat them and it's gonna be easy. No. They're missing players, but it's not gonna be easy, and especially it's not in city in Energizer Park. Sorry, it's I will call always City Park. Sorry, uh, it's in LA, so it's gotta be difficult. And then if you think of the second game of LA against Vancouver, Vancouver is always a tough place to play
Mhm.
with that turf, with the dimensions of that field. Um, and they were 1-1. I mean, they were hustling. They were just an excellent cross from Vancouver, and they scored. So like they do have spaces that we can attack. I think it's gonna be a more comfortable game for City to actually have a little more possession because LA is not a high press team right now. They don't have the pieces to high press as San Diego did, or what LA would do if they have all their players. So I think it's more favorable to actually do a good performance offensively, but it's not gonna be easy.
Oh no, I'm expecting. Well, it's still at home in LA, so and now they have their supporters on their neck now to perform. So that extra pressure is definitely one I guess we have to pay attention to. Um, well, in last year we had 4 players to worry about, but now 3 of them are gone. So Gabriel Peck has to do a lot of the offensive one. how do you guys feel about our offense kind of, challenging the older ish line of LA Galaxy and our good friend Johnny?
So they're quick. They're quick. If you've seen the two left backs, even like Nelson, he has performed very well. He's not letting people behind him. Uh, but there definitely leaves some gaps when you try to get him out of position, when you force him to move sideways. So that I think that will be a key for St. Louis of making them move and open gaps when they move sideways. It just we have to be consistent. We have to be creating those plays instead of just giving the ball away easy.
It looks like Jeremy giving us all the good stuff. It looks like max points, 2 games. It will be for LA, third in 8 days. That does not favor a team that's missing two of their best goal scorers
Yeah.
and traveling to Costa Rica just 4 days before. Yeah, they're traveling. And in Seattle, while City will have their fifth game in 15 days stretch. That also includes traveling to Mexico. Yeah, that I don't feel bad for LA, but maybe a little bit. So knowing that all these emergency FC, lack of goals, City not scoring goals, um, any chance we get a predictions from you too?
Rowan Berkey and this defense have played so well. Give me something City's never done. Give me straight clean sheets for City. Give me a 1-0 finish. St. Louis wins.
All right, Oscar.
I don't want to be boring, so I don't want to say 0-0 again. Uh, I do want the third clean sheet. I do want it, but I think we're gonna go to a third tie with a 1-1 game.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if a clean sheet will be it, but I'll see 2-1 City. Yeah.
You shall see.
So hopefully that it will be. I I was telling people that we were going to see a lot of goals last time, so I think I would temper my expectations a little bit more for this one here. So other than we know Gary Peck is you know probably the most dangerous on the team. Is there any other players from LA Galaxy that you're like a keep an eye on if you were City?
I mean, our friend, not so friend,
He's from
he should be one. I mean, Michael Royce, he should be one to
who?
watch.
Who is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that is. I
mean, I've heard of something, but
you're talking about that one guy.
He only played like
one guy that
20 years in
met Berkey.
And yeah, that friend of Berkey.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Berkey's fan. All right, yeah.
That Berkey friend.
He can come to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting for the reception of when he comes to St. Louis. That's the most exciting one.
Didn't he?
What did he play here?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
But he was not that good though. I think he was
no.
So he was recently arrived to LA, and he was like still kind of like adjusting to everything.
Yeah. And trust me, they booed. The City supporters booed every time he touched the ball.
He needed a decent performance. He wasn't overwhelming, and I don't think he has had an overwhelming performance yet in the MLS. I think he just has been another piece of the puzzle for LA. So against Vancouver, I think he got in the second half. Let me see. Look at really fast. 71 minute. So he's been in a rotation. He's not one of the main. I would say maybe if he starts, Ramirez will be one to watch.
Okay.
Former Columbus Crew forward. I think I always liked him. I love the way that he plays. That he's always a good number 9, strong in the air, and gotta watch him.
Yeah, looks like he's still trying to get his groove with the Galaxy.
With LA.
I'm Charlie, anything?
Yeah, I mean, y'all summed it up pretty well. I don't see LA Galaxy as the team they were last season. I don't think anyone does. And I still think they're a good team nonetheless. Are they going to be good enough to challenge City enough to get a win or a tie? Only time will tell. But my prediction is a 1-0 clean sheet. Just because the chances have been there. We'll just see if the goals come.
Just finish it.
Yeah.
All right. So so pretty much we kind of wrapped around, San Diego Galaxy, um, or a little bit of the controversy. So Oscar, do you have any hot take you would like to,
I
indulge us on?
do. I do. I have. It might not be huge, but it involves obviously Mr. Lionel Messi and his absence in Houston.
Hmm.
Not because of his absence, is because Houston decided that everybody that attended that game against Miami, they were gonna get a free ticket for another game later on
I did
because
not hear.
Lionel Messi did not travel.
I did not
Just
know
saying,
that.
I have never met a Who's Nemo fan in the flesh. I'm not sure if they exist.
Oh, they are. I have good friends from our, how you call it, from our Golds TV. We'll definitely talk to them. I did not know about another ticket. That is weird. If it was Miami, I would have understand it because it's your home crowd, and there was a big fuss about it. So it's at home, but the the hosting team said they gave people tickets.
Yeah, so this is not the first time this happens.
Yes. So I saw the apologies, and I think Chicago may have giving something back. Um, maybe I will let you on your rant, but I have a few takes on that fun part.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I mean, if you're gonna go to a soccer game to watch one player, you're going for the wrong reasons.
Mhm.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
That's just simple as that. Your soccer is to watch your team and support your team no matter who plays. Even if you were Inter Miami fan, right? And you live in Houston, that I don't know what's the probability of that, but um, you watch Miami play Houston because it's your team, is Miami team, not because Lionel Messi is coming. Yes, it's an upgrade. Yes, it's a plus. It's something that everybody looks forward to see. But no, so like if if you are gonna expect something back because that person's not traveling, that's it's a stupid reason. Like it's
Yeah.
not, and it's not the first time it happened. Obviously, first time this year, but it happened last year with, I believe, with Chicago and another team. I could not remember what it was, but there was definitely another one that missed because I mean Messi missed 15 games last year, so
Yeah.
there was plenty of those. Um, I believe one of those teams did issue a refund of tickets to the people. So what are we doing? This is just like franchises really exposing themselves and saying, if the best player of the other team's not coming, we're gonna give money back.
Yeah. How are they gonna feel during the World Cup then? Not every player is going to play. If you already qualify for the round of 16, you're gonna have a rotation. So you're telling me if you're going to miss out on four of their best players in the world that plays for Brazil, France, Germany, or anything, and it says we've already qualified for the round of 16. These guys are not playing today. You're going to argue with FIFA and says you want your money back because these guys were not playing. I mean,
No.
You start sending your letter.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, especially just saying. The World Cup game. Kansas City loves to talk about how they're getting a World Cup game in their city. Last time I checked, it wasn't in the furniture store. It's in Arrowhead. The only site worth seeing in Kansas City. I believe that one's actually in Missouri. I believe Arrowhead's in Missouri. Same with the Royals Stadium. But they can pretend it's Kansas for as long as they want to, but there will be no couches in attendance for the World Cup game. I guarantee it's going to be a bad one too.
I lived in Kansas City. It's not Kansas. Most of the players that play for SKC are not in Kansas. They're in Kansas City, Missouri. So, it's still, and the only reason why they have it is because they have a football stadium. If St. Louis had a football stadium that was open, roof and all that, St. Louis would have probably gotten it instead.
If Stan Kroenke didn't take away the Rams, we'd be a bustling city.
Yes. And you know what? He's still eating his words now because we're filling up our stadium more than he is.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so yes. So I'm sure right now he's kicking himself saying, man, would you imagine all the money he would have made if he would have started a soccer team here himself?
Yeah.
But I digress because I don't watch that much football, so I could care less about the
I get
so, and guess what? Arsenal is going to choke again. So guess what? Kroenke's not going to get an EPL either. So
no.
but yeah. So I think that still puts a bad eye on that, just because it's one player. I understand it's Messi. I've watched Messi play in real life when he played at Barcelona. I understand the attraction, but when you buy your ticket, it's not a guarantee that you are going to get what you want, right? It's the same thing when you buy your product, right? You don't get a lifetime warranty that says if things breaks after 15 years, you get your money back.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of soccer. He's not 22 anymore.
No.
He's not used to that. So if Miami was the one doing it and apologizing, I would totally understand it. But if you're a host team and you're telling your regional folks, I'm sorry because he's not coming. But guess what? They got to see Suarez, a 39-year-old playing like he was 25 at Liverpool.
I mean, just
and in one leg.
Yeah, in one leg. I mean, I would pay to see Suarez. Like,
I think they gave the extra ticket for the wrong reason. They lost that game 4-1 to a Messi-less Inter Miami. Give them another ticket because they had to watch that horrible performance. I mean, come on.
They got to watch Suarez. I mean,
no, I mean they get torture because now they get another ticket and now they're forced to go watch their team again.
I mean that's purgatory. I'm like, it's like that meme where it's like, oh, someone broke in my car and I had 2 St. Louis Cardinals tickets in it. I had 2 Houston Dynamo tickets in it, and someone broke in and left 4 more. And it's like, oh no, it's like, what happened? Like, it's kind of just like, what's happening here? I mean, that kind of sounds like a death sentence to me.
There's people that was.
And if you think about it, like you mentioned Suarez, and I would still go. I mean, if I'm just a soccer fan and not in a specific team, I would still go watch Inter Miami because it's not only Suarez, Busquets, Alba, even like Ustari. Ustari has a long career of goalkeeping with Argentina, and so like. And even like just watching Mascherano and being the coach, like it's not playing, but now he's the coach. And I mean, Mascherano was one of my idols with playing as a center mid and center back, like because I look how he played and I loved it. So there's still attractiveness on that team. So like for just regular fans that they just wanted to see Messi, you can still enjoy and see these people. And obviously Suarez put a master class yesterday. So
Grandpa Suarez.
Why don't you enjoy that?
No.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, compare watching Inter Miami with those 3, but not Messi, to compare what we're watching with St. Louis that we don't know anybody, but we just love them because they're our guys.
Yeah.
Busquets and Alba are a generation of players that won everything in Europe. And literally, if you think about it, as like a European, and he's, they're from Spain, those are the guys that we've watched our entire life do what they do. If you get to see them before they retire, for some of us in Europe, they are almost on the Messi level because they're European players and they've won everything you can think of, and had I guess the biggest run with Spain, where they dominated
Yeah,
world
I mean they
football
were
for
champions.
yeah
Yeah.
World Cup, back to back champs. So yes, I guess just to close it out is it's a bad look for those that been around the sport. I know, um, but then it still highlights, that it is a franchise and that the league is so much invested on that specific player that it is now tied to, that one player having to play almost like a, pony show versus other teams where, in Europe, I think you'll probably get, or rest of the world, you probably will get in some sort of trouble if you say, hey, these guys not playing, so I want my money back.
Right. Yeah, no, MLS has to cut that out. Especially, I mean, Messi is in the last year of his contract. So what's going to
Yeah.
happen next year if he doesn't renew? Like, so everybody's not going to go to the stadiums anymore because now Messi's not traveling because he's not playing. So you gotta cut that. Like, it's support and market, promote your league, your entire league, not just a guy.
So if Laporta leave Barcelona, I can guarantee you Messi will go back to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see what happens once, if, when, how that happens.
Yeah.
But I think that was like the perfect way to close out another episode of Top
Yeah.
Corner Talk, man. We're ending up
We're
with
getting good
Messi,
at
of course.
this.
We are. Yeah.
You know, it's the fun part. So, but I think as we close out, I did not know. Oscar clearly did not know that Charlie's a baseball player. Like, like who? You have not mentioned it whatsoever. You have the scarf to prove it. But can you tell us a little bit about, to close out this?
Yeah.
Let's
I
talk
guess. I.
baseball,
Yeah.
which is St. Louis.
Sure. I've been playing baseball since I was 3 years old. I'm starting on varsity at University City High School this
Whoop,
season.
whoop. Look at that.
Every day practice, every day for 2 hours. It's gonna be grueling. It's gonna be a tough season. Hoping for a healthy season. No injuries, as I've been through a fair amount of those in my short career so far. So that's the hope. But enough about me. I mean, this podcast every Monday, folks. Tune in. It's a blast. Questions from you guys. Guests appearances coming up. Some big things related to St. Louis City SC in the very near future. So stay tuned. Tune in Mondays. Okay. Keep an eye out for the notifications. I'll be streaming them on my X account. I know there's the Top Corner Talk through Run 4 account. I think Mo has it on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, almost everything you can think of. It is streamed. So tune in. It's a blast. I promise. We don't bite. It's fun over here at Top Corner Talk.
Yes. And one last thing, high school girls soccer has started just
Yeah.
now. And also on top of that, we have not talked about it, but high school Champions League, it's starting on March 27th. So that
Yes.
means all those that have qualified will be working, playing for the title of the best high school soccer team for the girls this season. So bragging rights, that's
We
all we
shall
know
see.
about. So, hey,
Mhm.
we'll be bringing a little bit more of that information as well. So, anything,
Well,
if you guys know any information about those games, highlights, feel free to send us those, clips, videos, and, maybe we'll do a ESPN top 10. Who knows?
you never know.
That'll be good. Yeah, I mean, another thing, it's coming up. Obviously, NWSL will start their season
Yes.
in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And like I mentioned before, I'm rooting for. It's not St. Louis because we don't have a team, but I have a personal attachment with Louisville, with Racing Louisville, because I have a very good relationship, and obviously I manage Maddie Pokorny, St. Louis native, so we're
Look
gonna
at that.
obviously cheer for her, and hopefully
Yeah.
she has a great season up there. So hopefully she gets great playing time this year, and we gotta keep up with that. So
Yeah.
If you guys hear me and bring it up a little bit of their results and maybe a little bit of Maddie performance, it will be coming up soon.
Man,
We shall
you just
see.
gave me an idea. I think we know we have someone that we can have come jump on this call to talk about the NWSL
Ooh.
that is very knowledgeable in St. Louis too.
Bring
So
one to St. Louis.
Yeah.
I know Jason Tatum and the Kachuk brothers, both Chaminade graduates, are looking to bring a WNBA team here. Women's sports on the rise in St. Louis. If a WNBA team comes here, you would think an NWSL team is to follow. You can only hope. We have a venue that's available usually 6 out of the 7 days in Energizer Park.
So
Here,
Caroline,
ready.
if you're watching, come on.
Yeah,
we hope
go.
you're watching.
Let's get it
Yeah, I
there.
know you're watching, right, Caroline?
We gotta hope. Probably not, but if for some reason you are, hello, bring an NWSL team here. That'd be awesome. More money in your pocket.
I'm sure we're not the only ones saying that. But,
Yeah.
but with that
All
said,
right, guys,
appreciate
Yeah.
your time all. Get rest and we'll see you very soon.
Yep.
Vamos City.
All right.